we as leaders have a tendency to believe, Dennis, that there's a certain amount of respect, authority, and the way that our employees think of us and the way we're perceived just comes with the title. I'm the CEO of the company. And so automatically I'm going to get that. We know that's not true.
We know that's not true. I've come across several people that, I've got the title CEO. It's like, who gives a shit? It's like, you know, especially in a small business, I may be a CEO, but I'm also the janitor. I could be the accountant. I could be the
Yep.
front desk operator at times. It's all around being yourself and developing that trust with the people that you work with and that you serve. Trust is earned. It's not something that you just get or given. It's something you've got to earn, and it's like respect. It goes both ways.
Absolutely. So today we have an expert, a coach who comes from a very, very long experience in terms of working at Johnson & Johnson and Bristol Myers. And so Ken Sher, who is with Sher Consulting, really shed some light on this idea of trust leadership. It's a fascinating concept. It is something that I think we maybe believe inherently, but the practice of it is not that easy. It's not easy to implement. He shares with us a few different ideas and thoughts, and we're able to understand a little bit more why it's important. So let's take a listen to this podcast. I think this is something that you all will walk away having learned a little bit more.
WFH with two guys. Now here's Benny and Dennis.
Dennis, I think that if we look at the world today, one of the things I understand that there's a little bit of a lack of is just being able to take what the leadership of a company is being able to give us and really trusting that that's the right direction, or what they're doing is actually in our best interest, or if they're not outright lying to us. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on today, and I think that some of that is eroding.
Well, and I think also you add in the fact that employees or civilization as a whole, we have access to a lot more information. And so sometimes we make thoughts that maybe not really correct, and then they turn into mistrust by us or by senior management, vice versa. And it erodes that relationship, because in your environment that you're working in, it's all about the relationships. Otherwise, it's drudgery if you're not. I mean, it's not fun to work in a place that you don't like people and you don't trust people. And
Mhm.
so, in today's society, this applies across basically our whole society, in that there's a lack of trust and a lack of respect in many cases. Some of it has been earned, some of it is not. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's a challenge as if you're an employee, and it's also a challenge if you're a manager.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
today we brought a guest on that's really a good expert on this with us.
Hey, Ken, thanks for stopping by today. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah. Hey, so let's talk about this for a second, Ken. In terms of who we are, we're leaders of companies. Whether we run a small startup with just a handful of people, to if we're a major entity and have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees, it is important that we have the confidence of our employees and the fellow leadership of the team. But why are employees losing trust in leadership today? Or maybe kind of give me, your thoughts. Maybe I've kind of launched into that a little bit too much, but we're getting a sense of that. What's kind of your thought on that?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of factors that are contributing to that. I think when you look at the employment market, just to begin with, there's a lot of
Mm,
uncertainty there. People don't know, or people walk into work one day and all of a sudden they're out of a job, or they're reading about all these layoffs. So there's uncertainty there, and they're not hearing from leadership what the actual situation is. Certainly, artificial intelligence has been had a big impact on that, and because employees see, with more AI coming in, they feel more threatened, and without any communication to them about what does AI truly mean to the business and truly mean to you as an employee, they're going to make up their own stories, and when there's a lack of communication, a lack of information, people always come up with something. So I think that's also a big impact. And then just the internet in general, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and people don't know what's what. And I think, again, a lot of it comes back to communication from company leadership. So people feel like they know what's truly going on.
And I think with AI, There's managers that don't even understand what's coming or what they know
Mhm.
that they need to throw out the AI word. They know they need to do something with it, but they're
Mhm.
probably as confused as the employee is because
Mhm.
it's moving so fast. Benny and I were talking before we started recording this. There's things he's using now that it's like it
Yeah.
can change your world and it's moving fast. So what was here
Mhm.
in January could be something new in March or April of that year. And so it's hard for that communication to happen sometimes because it is happening so fast for
Yeah.
the manager
Yeah,
as
it
well as
is.
the employee. And that's a challenge.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it because you're right. And even something I could say to you today that is completely true to your point, and it tomorrow could change and not be true. And does that mean I lied to you? Does that mean I misled you? Or does it mean I just things just changed? But I do think having as a leader, having your finger on the pulse of what's happening in your organization is critical. And having a finger on the pulse of what's happening with your marketplace is critical as well. You just need to try to be, if not a step ahead, at least try to keep up with it and try to communicate as quickly and honestly as you can.
I know back, gosh, Benny, this is going to date me. This was back when we lived in Houston. We had a husband and wife team come over from England and work with the management team. And their whole
Mhm.
thing was teaching us how to speak from the heart. Because most managers, if you think about it, don't speak from the heart. They're very guarded, they're very protected. And their whole thing was being open and honest and being able to share. And literally, it changed the culture. It was a manufacturing facility that was heavy, heavy union. And after we got done with this, the union embraced management because they actually sat there and were truthful with them and spoke from the heart and told them what they were actually, I hate to use the word feeling, but what was really going on instead of sitting there sugarcoating or making fun of it. And actually, it was a sugar company, so it was kind of fun. But it's and it was an interesting process to go through because most managers don't speak from the heart. They're
Mhm.
not really truthful in many cases, which is kind of sad.
It's interesting, isn't that though? Because I think that is such a basic human thing, right? Just be honest and open with people and share with them as much as you can. And if I can very quickly, I spend a lot of my time as you know with Johnson and Johnson, and they have what's called the Our Credo. And it's a one-page, four-paragraph document. Talks about the responsibility to the healthcare workers and the patients they serve, giving them safe, effective products. The second paragraph's about being the responsibility to employees, giving them a safe place to work and a fair wage. The third paragraph's about the responsibility to communities, being good stewards of the environment. And the last paragraph is about the responsibility to stockholders, to shareholders. And the fascinating thing about the document is it was written by General Robert Wood Johnson, who was the founder of J&J and the only stockholder at the time. But he
Hmm.
knew if he took care of those other three stakeholders, if he built the relationships he needed with them, he'd be successful. And for nearly 100 years, the J&J has paid out quarterly dividends. So he was onto something there. But not to go on too long here, but if you recall the Tylenol incident back in the early 80s, where somebody tampered with Tylenol, people died, and J&J, they could have done a couple of things, had a public relations campaign telling people, "Oh, look at all the patients have used it, it's safe, it's effective," maybe an advertising campaign with the same messaging, but they didn't. They looked at that credo. They said, "Our first responsibility is to our healthcare workers and patients they serve." They were the mother and baby company then. They had a tight relationship with their customers. So they decided we can't mess with that. They pulled it from the shelves at cost of hundreds of millions of dollars. But when they put it back on the shelves a few months later with that first tamper resistant bottle that drives us crazy sometimes, it quickly became the number one over the counter pain reliever again because J&J never lost the trust they had with their customers.
Mhm.
And they're not a perfect company. We know that. Nobody is perfect, but I think that's the core of where I come from as a leader. You got to tell people what's what, and you got to be open and fair and honest with them.
No,
Yeah.
and I agree. I mean, I think you hit on the head. I mean, we're in Atlanta and, Chick-fil-A is just up the road. And I always say they put customers first, employees second, and profits third. And if you focus on those top two, the
Hmm.
bottom one happens. And by focusing on those on employees and customers, it's about trust and relationships and developing understanding of what they do. It works. Unfortunately, so many companies get flipped around where they focus on the bottom line and then
Mm.
they go the other way. And
Yeah.
I always say when they start saying we're cutting to make more profits, it's going to be a short-term fix because you're going to
Yes.
start destroying the relationships and it's going to start eroding and it's going to fall apart on you. And we're in a transition period. AI is a big thing that's happening. I
Mhm.
do lots of talks on, Benny, you do too, on AI. I mean, think it's a tool. It's there to help. It's not there to get rid of stuff. It's there to free people up to be more productive because there's so much busy work that people do that they never
Mhm.
have time to do what they really probably were hired for in the first place. So it doesn't mean
Mhm.
getting rid of them. It's just freeing them up so that they can be more productive. Maybe you aren't going to hire as many people in the future, but don't lay off the people. Get them to be more productive for you. That begins to build the trust around AI. And while you're going through that process, communicate, give them
Mhm.
messaging, have them updates. I know, Benny, when we were building the building there in Nashville,
Mhm.
and we were going from a closed environment to an open environment. I mean, we had and then that's another huge one that
Oh, yeah.
people losing their doors are a really challenge. Um, that yeah, it's like it was all about communication and helping people navigate through those changes. And there were different people in different stages of where they were at, but it all started at the top. The CEO at the building we were at before, he had his door taken off just to show that we're going to get rid of doors. So it began to filter down because he knew that that was an important piece. And so he set the precedent at the top level. And so people begin to kind of follow along and realize, okay, this isn't all bad once you get there.
Mhm.
But there was lots of grapevine gossip, and you learn real quick. If you're a good manager, you get positive grapevine messaging going, not negative grapevine messaging going, because
Mhm.
it's there. It's in the culture. No matter what company has it, there's people talking behind the scenes. You want to try to spin it in a positive light, not a negative light.
Yeah, I agree. You mentioned employees and customers, employees. I think it was Max Kelleher who founded Southwest Airlines. He said employees come first. And he felt like if I take care of the employees, they'll take care of the business. And I think
Yep.
it's kind of borne
It's
itself
Herb
out.
Kelleher, right?
Herb Keller, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know who Max Keller was. Maybe someone I went to school with or something.
Yeah. All I know is he designed it on the back of an envelope. So that's
Yeah.
great.
Right. Hmm.
But again, that's another one where Southwest has kind of deviated from
Oh
their,
gosh.
they've kind of changed. And it's like, okay, are they really focused where they used to be? And I think it's kind of in limbo of where they're going.
Yeah.
Well, this actually brings a good point up here. I would imagine that no one wants to be labeled or viewed in that way, right? This particular leader isn't trustworthy or whatever. I mean, there are people who are outright charlatans, right? And just kind of do that. But there are some people who just, I'm not going to give the whole story. Either it's too complicated or, kind of goes into things. But what are some of the behaviors that erode trust when it comes to the employees and, you know, leadership may not even realize that they're doing it. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I've thought a lot about that. And through that, I built something I call the trust success model because I think the behaviors we do will build or deteriorate trust. And trust
Mm.
for me is an acronym. The first one, transparency. When you hold information back from people, I mean, you've probably worked with people or you've dealt with people personally where there's just something they're not telling me. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. That it's hard to put your trust in someone like that. I know as a leader, sometimes there are things you can't share, but for the most part, you should be able to share things. The R in my model is results. First of all, as a leader, you need to deliver results. I need to trust that I'm working for you and we're going to be successful. You know what you're doing. We have a good vision, a strategy. But also, you need to tell me what results do you expect from me. I have a client right now where he called me last night because his boss has just been all over him. Like, I need more from you. I need more substantial things from you. And he's like, I don't know what that means. Like, I can't meet an expectation. I don't know what it is. And that makes him
Mm.
feel like she's out to get me. She wants to get rid of me. That's what I'm feeling now. And that may or may not be the case, but setting clear expectations of what results you need. Understanding in my trust model, the U is about understanding where people are coming from and where they want to go. As a leader, if I know that you want to go up in the company and I help you get there, or I know you want to just be better at your job, even if that means you may leave, that employee knows that I want what's best for them. I care for them. I truly am authentically in it with them and for them. And they're going to give me the extra mile when I need it. Simplicity, talk about what a crazy world it is. Just tell me what are my priorities. Give me 1, 2, 3 priorities. again, makes it easy for me to know what I need to do to be successful. And then the T in the trust model is about teams. I'm sure you guys, whether it's through athletics or maybe through being in a play or as a kid or whatever, that feeling when you're part of something that everyone's in it together and we're all working together. I'm going to paraphrase a Supreme Court justice who says, it's hard to describe it, but I know it when I see it or I feel it, that feeling
Mm,
of being part of a team. And I think when you don't let your people do their work, you don't let them go. When you micromanage, that's a sign of distrust too. You don't think
mm.
I can
Yeah,
do my job? You got to be on me every second. So there, those are some of the things. I don't want to ramble on too long, but I think
Well,
those are the behaviors that can either build or deteriorate trust.
I agree. Benny, I was watching last night Survivor, and
Tell me,
it
I
was
haven't
all
seen it yet. I haven't seen this episode yet.
I saw episode 1 and 2. I crashed it last night. And so
Okay, that's where I'm at
but it was
also.
all
Okay.
about it's all about trust because
Mhm.
it was really interesting because it's the 50th anniversary and they brought them all back from the 25 different years. And it's really interesting if you watch that because it really kind of talks, you think about it, it's how it happens at work. It's just that here they're on a private island or on an island, exiled. But it's like the ones that are being successful have developed trust with 2 or 3 key people, and they're
Mhm.
honest and they're helping each other out to navigate through the craziness. And so
Mhm.
it's like the real world and Survivor kind of come together if you think about it. And I
yeah,
hadn't watched it in years. I'm watching it because I used to live in Houston and Cody was on there and he's back on. So he was 25 back then, now he's 50. And so it's fun to watch an old guy try to
oh
do
Yeah.
my
Survivor.
gosh.
And
Wow.
interestingly too, when you lose trust, as you see in Survivor too, Dennis, it's hard to get it back if you can
It's
at
hard to
all.
get it back. Yeah, there's one that loses it, and you can see that he's gonna be voted off before long, so cool.
Interesting. When we talk about trust and from a leadership perspective, I would imagine that the trust that a leader has who's driving the company, who's, if you will, senior leadership, C-suite, VP level above, and then if you have an employee who has a direct mentor leader that would be focused in on, the area within their control. I would imagine that trust has to differ between those different leadership styles or leadership categories. How does it differ? What is it that we need to make sure that we're doing as leaders of the company and direct leaders ourselves?
Yeah. Well, I think from a company leadership perspective, I think you need to set that clear vision and that strategy that people can buy into.
Hmm.
And I think you have to do that. And this maybe is regardless of what level of leadership you're at, by including other people in developing that. The old Jack Welch, I got his first name right, I think, Jack Welch approach of
Yeah.
this is how we're doing it. You're doing it my way, and anything else is not right, doesn't work anymore. But when you could bring a team together, maybe from different levels of the organization, now we've got this great strategy and vision, and we're going to start living it from the top. And we're going to communicate it regularly. We're going to maybe roll up our sleeves, maybe take the door off our office as well and show that we're in it with everybody. I think in that's the first way that upper leadership can show their can start to build that trust. Then as a from a employee to a supervisor point of view, again, I think it's a matter of communication, staying connected, really knowing as much as you can about your employee and giving them what they need to be successful. And from the other way around is the employee needs to demonstrate to that supervisor that I'm in it. I'm here to be successful, to do what I need to do. Sometimes that means going above and beyond, but even if it just means doing my job the best I can do. If that's all I can give right now, I'm going to give it. And I think when you live that commitment, whatever it might be, I think that's a way to build the trust necessary throughout the organization.
And Benny, talking, I think back to some places I've worked. The managers that I've had that were senior level, they had trust both ways. The ones that probably were trusted at the senior level but not trusted below, it's because they played one game one way, but then when they were with the employees, they tried to be somebody else. And as an employee, you can see through that real
Mm.
easily
Mhm.
because it's the not the words they say, it's the actions and their behaviors that trigger, and then the grapevine starts going and they lose control really, really quick. And it's all about, again, just being honest. And to your point, Ken, I mean, there's times where they would say that I can't tell you everything because sometimes there's legal reasons. There's certain
Mhm.
things they can't,
Right.
but they can give you enough information, and when they say that it's like, okay, you'll tell me when I can, and so you trust them
Mhm.
versus the ones that hold things close to their vest all the time, and then all of a sudden it just appears. That's where
Mhm.
you lose the trust. And so, as an employee, you can help build that trust because it goes both ways.
Mhm.
You have to give it to them, and you have to earn their trust to be able to trust you. And you can't run around and spread rumors and things that because they may be sharing some pretty top secret things with you at times that you've got to be careful that you can't
Mhm.
say or run and tell everybody.
Yeah.
But it's again, if everybody just followed the golden rule and treated everybody how you would like to be treated, it's amazing how it works so much better.
Mhm.
It's all that stuff we learned in first grade and second grade, kindergarten,
Yeah.
first, second grade, that if you would just do it in business, life's a heck
Mhm.
of a lot easier, but it doesn't become that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Dennis, if I could just actually, I'm going to push back a little bit on that because
Yeah.
I do
No, it's fine.
believe that the golden rule is important, but I believe it's even more so treat other people the way they want to be treated in order to build that. Because you may not want to be treated the same way I did, right?
Right.
I may want just give it to me between the eyes, and you may be like,
Yep.
give it. I need a little softer approach than that. But as a leader, that's part of your job, figuring out what's going to work best with each employee. The best sports managers, they know who to push and who to coddle. They know who to,
Hmm.
encourage with positivity and who to threaten if that's hopefully
Yep.
it doesn't get that far, but you know what I mean.
Right. So let me ask. This could be a bigger question or bigger answer, I should say. But the first T in your acronym is transparency.
Mhm.
Uh, Can you just kind of expand upon what does transparent communication actually look like in practice? What does that look like?
Okay, that's a great question. I think it can come at a number of different ways. First, we started talking about AI earlier. AI is being brought in. It's being used more and more in every organization. What does that mean to me? Tell me what is the ultimate goal, if you can.
Yeah.
How do I fit in with the advent of AI? Where does my role come in? I think transparency comes in if telling how the company is performing. If the company's not performing well, I think it's important to let people know that. And there are a number of stories of leaders who, instead of trying to sugarcoat things, say, "Look, we're struggling right now. We're in trouble. We need employees. We need you to step up. Bring us your ideas. Put in that effort we need." Letting people know exactly where they stand as well professionally. Am I doing well? Am I getting honest feedback from you? I think those are areas, that again, it comes to communication, sharing as much information you can about an individual performance, company performance, the direction the company is going, because then people can help you. When you're transparent and they have all the information they need, they could take advantage of opportunities that they come in front of them, but they could also handle challenges without always having to run to the leader and say, "What do I do? What do I do?" Which allows the leader to do their role as well. So the more information you give, the more independence you give to your employees, which allows you as a leader to do your job and not have to micromanage or get in the weeds. I hope that
Yeah.
answered
No,
that.
I
Yeah.
those are great. I sit here as you're talking, it's like, okay, I hated that manager that was that micromanager.
Mm.
Yeah.
They were nice people. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like, okay, you hired me to do my job. Let me do my job. If
Let
I
me
make a
do it.
mistake, give me guidance and direction, but don't be looking at every single email or every single
Mm.
thing I do. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Right. And you're never going to take it. An employee who's micromanaged will never take initiative. They won't be innovative because they'll feel like
Right.
he or she's just going to tell me I'm wrong or tell me what to do. So why don't I
Yep.
just wait here for them to tell me that instead of
Yep.
doing what I think I should do?
All right, Ken, we got the T part done in the trust acronym, but for UST, we don't have the time. So it's unfortunate because I think there was so much more we wanted to dig into, and I think you really touched a nerve on. I know certainly with me and Dennis, there's some other questions that we have. Ken's got a book, doesn't he? He's got some
He does have a
information.
book out. So let's see if I can share my screen here. Maybe. Here we go. Here's the book. um, that you can see. It's What's Trust Got to Do with It. I highly encourage you guys to take a listen to that. And then, Ken, if people wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way for people to reach you?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you too. I think it's been a great conversation. You asked some great questions, and I think we had some good discussion. If people want to get in touch with me, they could reach out to me directly at ken@shercoaching.com. My website is shercoaching.com, and actually, my book site is kensher.com. Do you notice the theme there? There's a lot of Sher going on there.
Yeah,
But I was
just for people who can't actually see the video, Sher is spelled Sher,
yes,
so
thank
not
you.
not the traditional way. Yeah.
I appreciate that clarification. And yeah, and as I mentioned, I've been doing executive coaching for some years, and I'm doing keynote speaking. So if anyone's interested in discussing those things, I'm happy to talk with them. But again, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, Ken, thanks for being here. This is great.
This is really great information, Ken, and I think the underlying theme here is that trust is a very important thing for you as leaders. We want to make sure that we practice this, and if you want to go ahead and learn a little bit more how you can apply it, reach out to Ken directly, and he'll be glad to chat with you for a few minutes. Thanks, Ken, for stopping by. Really appreciate it. Learned a lot, and I think there's more that we can explore here.
All right, great. Thank you again, both of you, and you be well.
Yeah. Thank you. Take care, Ken.
You've been listening to WFH with Two Guys. We'll see you next time.